So this video is going to go through a couple of worded problems to do with Pythagoras' theorem. So whenever we're looking at worded problems, it is a good idea to first read the question a few times to understand what's going on. And also because Pythagoras is really to do with measurement, we're going to draw a picture as well to help us better understand what's going on. A swimming pool is 50 by 25 meters. Peter is bored with his usual routine and decides to swim the diagonals of the pool. How many diagonals must he swim to complete his normal 1500 meters? Give your answer correct to 2 decimal places. We probably don't need that question mark there. Okay, so I can already see from reading that through once that we're going to approach this in a few steps. So step 1, I'm going to draw my picture. I've got a swimming pool. I'm going to assume that the swimming pool is rectangular because it's a lap pool. And that pool, that pool is 50 meters by 25 meters. And we know that Peter, he's become bored and he wants to swim the diagonal. Now, knowing that this is a Pythagoras question because we've got 2 side lengths that we know and an unknown side length, I'm going to actually pull out that bottom triangle. You could pull out the top triangle because they are congruent. And this is 25 meters and this is 50. And this is going to be the diagonal. We want to know, so the final point we want to get to in this question is how many diagonals does Peter have to swim? But before we go to that, we need to figure out how long is that diagonal exactly. So Pythagoras' theorem, I can see that this diagram down here is a case 1 example because I've got my 2 shorter side lengths and that diagonal is my hypotenuse. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now I'm going to go ahead and label these A, B, C. So 50 squared plus 25 squared equals x squared. So 50 squared plus 25 squared gives me 3,125. And then we want to undo that square on that x. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. And what I end up with is 55.90. And because we're rounding to 2 decimal places at the end, I'm going to leave this answer in that approximate form. Okay, so now we know that the diagonal is 55.90 meters. We can figure out how many laps he has to do. So I'm going to do that. So I'll change my pen color again. I'm going to do that by taking, he wants to do 1500 meters. Oh, I'm not very good at drawing these M's. And then each lap is 55.9 meters. And what I get is 26.83, which means that it's going to be very hard for him to measure 0.83 of a lap. So let's go with he needs to do 27 laps. This is to 2 decimal places. So really this is correct to 2 decimal places here, 26.83 laps. But let's go with what would be more useful, 27 laps. Okay, let's have a look at this question. So we've got if a television screen has a screen size of 63 centimeters, it means that the diagonal length of the screen is 63 centimeters. If the vertical height of a 63 centimeter screen is 40 centimeters, find how wide the screen is to the nearest centimeter. Okay, there's a lot of words in there that make it quite confusing. So this first sentence here is telling us that the diagonal length of the screen is 63 centimeters. So let's draw our TV. And we know that the diagonal length is 63 centimeters. And this is how they do measure screens. So if you go and buy a 60-inch TV, it's 60 inches from corner to corner diagonally. Okay, so if the vertical height of a 63 centimetre screen is 40 centimetres, we want to know this length here, how wide. So again, to make it visually easier to see, I'm going to pull out that right angled triangle, and here we've got 63 centimetres as our hypotenuse, 40 centimetres here, and x here. Now, already I'm thinking case 2. Okay, we know our hypotenuse and we're trying to find a shorter side length. So I'm going to write that out. A squared equals c squared minus b squared. My a squared is going to be this one here, a. This is my c and this is my b. A squared equals 63 squared minus 40 squared. And turns out a squared equals, so 63 squared minus 40 squared gives us 2369. And then I'm going to take the square root of both sides. A is equal to 48.67, and we want the answer to the nearest centimetre. So A is equal to 49 centimetres.